The room went silent the second she saw the necklace. Not, gasp, silent. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until you can hear your own heartbeat. Rachel stood frozen by the champagne table, her promotion certificate still folded in her trembling hand, watching her husband guide another woman toward table 12. Her table. The one with the reserved sign she had picked out herself 3 weeks ago. The woman was laughing at something he whispered. She was wearing the sapphire necklace Rachel had seen in his search history, and assumed, hoped, was for her. Daniel didn't even look for his wife in the crowd. He pulled out the chair for the woman like a man who had done it 100 times before, and when the waiter came with the bill folder, Daniel simply nodded toward Rachel's direction and said 5 words that would end his marriage in front of 40 of her colleagues. My wife's got this one. But what happened in the next 60 seconds silenced the entire room, because someone else had been watching this whole scene unfold from the back corner, and he was not a man who let cruelty go unanswered. If you've ever felt invisible in a room full of people who are supposed to love you, this story is for you. Stay with me till the end, because what this woman did with her pain is something every one of us needs to see. Hit like if you believe quiet strength always wins in the end. Rachel Whitmore had not always been the kind of woman people underestimated. 10 years ago, she was a 24-year-old junior analyst who color-coded her lunch breaks around client calls. She learned to read balance sheets on the subway. She skipped 2 of her own birthday dinners to finish a merger report nobody asked her to redo. But she redid it anyway, because good enough never felt like enough to her. Her boss back then was a sharp, quiet man named Charles Whitfield. He founded the company from a garage in the 90s. He rarely praised anyone out loud, but he noticed things. He noticed the redone report. He noticed the light in her office at 9 p.m. on a Friday. He retired 6 years later, but he never fully let go of the company he built. He still came to the big events. He still watched from the back of the room, the way old lions watch a pride they no longer lead. But still love. Rachel married Daniel 2 years into her career. He was charming in a way that made people forgive him too easily. He worked in sales, the kind of job where charisma pays the bills more than results do. For a long time, that was fine. She didn't mind covering more of the mortgage. She didn't mind that his commissions came and went like weather. She minded, quietly, when he stopped asking about her day. She minded when her promotion to senior manager came with a bottle of wine he drank alone that night, congratulating himself for handling her success so gracefully. She minded the folder of receipts from restaurants she'd never been to, but she told herself it was client dinners. Everyone deserved a season of doubt before the truth. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight she was being celebrated for landing the Hendricks account, the biggest deal the regional office had closed in 4 years. She'd worked 11 weekends straight to get here. She'd missed her sister's baby shower for a call with legal. She had earned this room, this certificate, this one single night. She hadn't expected to spend it watching her husband seat a stranger at her table. Rachel's hands were still shaking as she set her champagne glass down. She wasn't sure yet if it was rage or heartbreak. Maybe there wasn't a difference tonight. She took one step toward table 12, unsure what she would even say. That's when she noticed him. Charles Whitfield, 71 years old, still sharp-eyed in his gray suit, had risen from his chair at the far end of the room. He wasn't looking at Rachel. He was looking at Daniel, the way a man looks at a decision he's already made. She didn't know it yet, but the next few minutes were about to rewrite everything she thought she knew about power, dignity, and who really got to decide her worth in that room. Charles Whitfield crossed the room slowly, the way a man walks when he has all the time in the world and nothing left to prove. Conversations died in his wake. People who had spent 30 years watching him build this company from nothing knew that walk. Something was about to happen. He stopped at table 12. He looked at the woman in the sapphire necklace first. Not with anger, but with something almost like gratitude. "Thank you," he said to her. The woman blinked, confused. "Excuse me?" Thank you for coming tonight, Charles said, calm and unhurried. You just showed this entire room exactly who Daniel Whitmore really is. That's not something money can buy. Daniel's smile cracked at the edges. Charles, this isn't. Let me explain. You don't need to explain anything to me, Charles said. I already watched you hand my regional office's biggest bill to the woman you humiliated in front of her own colleagues. That explained everything. A few nearby guests had stopped pretending not to listen. Rachel stood a few feet away, still frozen, still holding a folded certificate that suddenly felt heavier than it should. Charles turned to face the room, his voice steady enough to carry without shouting. 6 years ago, I retired from running this company, but I never stopped caring about the people who built it with me. He looked at Daniel directly now. Effective tonight, you're no longer part of this organization's leadership team. I'll have HR finalize the details Monday. Don't bother coming in. Daniel's face went pale. You can't just. I can, Charles said simply. And I just did. Then he turned to Rachel. His expression softened, the sharpness melting into something warmer, something almost fatherly. Rachel, he said, loud enough for the room to hear. 10 years ago, you rewrote a merger report at 9 o'clock on a Friday night because you thought it wasn't good enough, even though nobody asked you to. I never forgot that. This company doesn't run on charm. It runs on people like you. He paused, letting the room lean in. As of tonight, you're not just senior manager. You're the new regional director. You've earned that title with a decade of work most people in this room never saw. It's about time everyone else did. The applause started slow, one person, then another, then the whole room rising until it drowned out the sound of Daniel quietly pulling out his phone, realizing there was no version of tonight he could spin in his favor. Rachel didn't cry, though she thought she might. She just stood there, certificate still in hand, feeling something settle inside her chest that had been unsteady for years. Not triumph exactly. Something steadier. Something like proof. Daniel left the party alone. Nobody stopped him. The woman in the sapphire necklace left too. Quieter now. The necklace suddenly looking less like a trophy and more like a question she'd have to answer for herself later. 3 months passed. Rachel heard, secondhand, that Daniel had taken a smaller sales job across town. The kind of job where charm didn't carry as far without a title behind it. She heard he'd reached out to a therapist. She hoped that part was true, not because she wanted him back, but because bitterness rarely helps anyone heal, including the person who caused the hurt. Rachel didn't spend her nights thinking about him anymore. She spent them in her new office, the one with her name on the door, mentoring 2 junior analysts who reminded her a little of who she used to be. She kept a small note on her desk that Charles had written her the week after the party. It read simply, "Turkey is the only thing nobody can take a percentage of." She read it some mornings when the world felt loud. It was usually enough. Rachel learned something that night she never forgot, that the people who truly see your worth are rarely the ones sitting closest to you at dinner. Sometimes they're the ones quietly watching from across the room, waiting for the right moment to remind you who you really are. If you've ever had someone try to make you feel small in front of a room that mattered, comment, "I see you." If you believe your quiet work will always speak louder than someone else's cruelty. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself tonight. You deserve a table where nobody makes you pay for someone else's mistakes.